Ladies and gentlemen, sorry, we're going to be starting about 7, but I wanted to mention to you that if you are wanting to give a question to one of the candidates, there were slips at the door when you came in, and it's really hard for our question wranglers, we started calling them, if they don't know who the question is supposed to go to. So if you think you turned yours in and you didn't indicate that it's school board or fire commissioner or county commissioner, then if you'd go back over and find yours, and if you're writing yours right at the top, it has a place for you to circle who it's supposed to go to. So if you would pay attention to that, it would be great. Thank you. If I, yeah. If I could have your attention, please. We're going to ask the candidates for county council to come on up to the table. And if you look at your agenda through the evening, each group will become called up approximately at the time on the agenda. But we have Dave Moon here who's going to talk to all of us about using the mics. So all you candidates pay really good attention, and the rest of you kind of keep it low so they can hear. Thank you.
Aw, thank you, Marianne. Okay, guys, I'm going to turn you all into sound techs. We're going to pass the single wireless mic. All I ask, it's 3 little switches right here on the side. It goes on is all the way on the top. The middle is mute. The mid. And if you turn it all the way down, that's off. Please don't turn it off, because then you'll start talking when you turn it back on, and we won't be able to hear you until it syncs up. Got it? Simple directions. If you get stuck, let me know. Don't worry if you're too soft, I can turn you up from back there, so I'll monitor. If you're too loud, I'll turn you down. So you guys just talk in your normal voice any way you want to hold the mic, we'll make it work for you. Good? Excellent.
Hello. Hello. So if you have secrets, you put it in the center one. Okay. Okay, welcome this evening. I'm Jody Troutwine. I'm the Voter Service Chair of the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County. And Sky Valley has asked us to come out and do this candidate forum, and they're some of our favorite people to work with. All of you guys are, because we work so well together and share the jobs. And you always have a great crowd for this forum, so we really like it. The groups that are pairing with us, the Chamber of Commerce, the Sno-Isle Library has provided your snacks, so just to be sure and thank them. And we want to thank all the candidates and office holders who are running for office and participating. Let me just ask, if you are a candidate and you are not on the program tonight, would you just please stand a minute so everybody can see? Anybody like that? All right. Thank you very much for running. All right. If you are an office holder, would you please, and you are not on the program. Can we do something about this interference? Am I doing this wrong?
I think it might be a cell phone on the table. Do you guys have cell phones sitting on the table? Maybe set it on the chair next to you.
Mine's on the floor down here. Do I need to get it farther away?
Let's see if that solves it. I think that'll probably solve it.
Okay, that's better. I can tell. Okay, so if you're an office holder and you're not on the forum tonight, would you folks please stand? Okay, and I would like for you to meet your League of Women Voters people who are here for you tonight. So if you're a League of Women Voters person helping tonight, would you please stand? Thank you. And the Sno-Isle Library's people, would you please stand? Excuse me, Friends of the Library, would you please stand? And you probably know this better than I do, but in case you need to know, the bathrooms are down the hall, down this way. You might need to know. Okay, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization, and we encourage informed and active participation in government and in the democratic process. So we work to increase understanding of major public policy issues and influence public policy through education and advocacy. We neither endorse nor oppose candidates or parties, so all these people here have an equal opportunity and access for this forum tonight, because we feel like you as the voters really need to hear from people and know what they stand for, and then you can make your own decision from that. Okay? We do take positions sometimes, and you can go to our league website or to the state league or national to see some of the things we take positions on, but we don't take positions until we've studied them quite a bit at either the national or the local level. Okay, at this point, I'm going to ask you to turn off all your cell phones and any other recording devices, and we request that no participant or audience member use cameras or recorders during the forum program. We want to be sure that video or audio documentation is not used to create false or misleading impressions. So thank you for that. You all will turn those off. When you came in, you were offered a couple of publications from the League. The little one that looks like a little booklet is called the TRY, T-R-Y, which stands for They Represent You. It has the major office holders in Snohomish County, and for some of the cities and towns and whatever, it gives you the website so you can go there and you can find out who represents you where you live. You also got a bookmark for something that's called Vote 411. This is a national project of the League, and I would really encourage you to go look at it. It's getting more well known. Not all the candidates quite get how it works, but what happens is they are asked to submit the answers to some questions, and then those questions and answers are published on Vote 411. So you go put your street address and your zip code, and it pops up for you, everybody, and every issue that's going to be on your ballot. So you can study that well before you get your ballot. It's been out there a little while. We had a little confusion from some Linwood and Edmonds candidates in the last week, so it made me want to make this part clear. And that is, if you're a candidate and you have not yet submitted answers to questions, even though you had a deadline, apparently if you go to the website even now and answer those questions, you can still do that. So I haven't looked to see who has submitted here, but we really encourage candidates to do that, and you can encourage them to do it by using that site and by asking them to answer those questions. So it's really a good resource, okay? Okay, and then at the bottom of your agenda, you'll see the League of Women Voters website, and this is good for you because the TRY gets updated regularly. So for example, what we gave you was published back in the spring, and there have been a few people who've left office, different things have happened, and on paper, it won't get updated until after the election, but on our website, it is up to date. And there's other information. This forum is there, other forums, and so you can find out what we're doing, and if this looks interesting to you, we'd love to talk to you. We need members, and if you've noticed our group, it's not all women. Several men are members of our group as well, so we would encourage you to join us. You also receive slips of paper for writing questions for the candidates, and throughout the forum, if you have one of those, you've written a question, if you will just hold it up, our runners will come and collect those from you, and back here we have a table where people are consolidating those questions. That way we don't ask the same question a bunch, and be honest with you, we ask civil questions. So just make your language civil, all right? And we always ask the questions to everybody. So if you had one particularly for Kristen, we would not address a question just to Kristen, we would address it to both the candidates for this office. So frame your questions that way, and they will be more likely to be chosen. Okay. Now, I want to talk about the questions and the question and answer period. The first, we have sent the candidates some already prepared questions, and they're very similar from among the races, so you might get a little tired of hearing them, but we'll ask each group. And the first question we ask is designed to get at qualifications, and the final question we asked is designed to give the opportunity for summary. I'll give the questions, and they were selected in advance from questions developed by League members. Sometimes we get ideas from Vote 411, sometimes from our membership. Okay. In between, I'll ask as many audience questions as I can as the time allows. When I ask a question, each candidate will have 60 seconds to respond, and we'll begin at the far end of the table for any group, okay? We'll always just begin there at the far, so, I'm sorry, I'm jumping to Kristen. Sam will get the first question, and then Kristen will get the second question, and if it's a lot of people, we'll just keep working our way down the row, so everybody has a chance to go first and last, whatever. Okay, also, the candidate may take one opportunity each to challenge another candidate. A challenge can occur after all the candidates have answered any question, and it will be signaled by the challenger holding up a card. Would one of you just hold it up so everybody sees? And I'm gonna ask them to hold it up high so I can see. And if they make a challenge, then the person who makes it has 45 seconds to ask it, and the other person has 45 seconds to respond to it. We might not have any. I've gone to forums where we've had none. I've gone to forums where we've had several. So however it works. Okay. Our timekeepers for the evening over here at the front table are League members Bob Kramer and Tori Peters, and they have signs, and they will hold up a yellow card, a purple card when there's 30 seconds left of your 60 seconds, and yellow when it's 15, and red for time's up, like a stop sign, right? And the bell, all right? So when you see red, when you hear the bell, you're done, okay? And we're not trying to be mean, we're just trying to give everybody the same amount of time. Okay, then we want to remind you again, in case anybody came in after I talked, to turn off your cell phone and any other recording device. And by the way, you don't have to worry about recording because Sultan High School is recording this for us. So you can go back and look at it later. Isn't that great that they're helping with that? Now, from now forward, we're going to request that you hold your applause until each group is finished and that you not give an indication of support or being against anything that's said or throughout the program. And then we applaud all the candidates for being here and being part of the forum. All right. Thanks to everybody. So we're going to start with a prepared question with Sam. And the first question is, what qualifications and experience make you a strong candidate for this office, County Council?
Well, thank you first of all for the League of Women Voters for hosting this. Currently, I sit in the position for the last 10 months on County Council, so I have 10 months of experience on County Council. But before that, I was on Lake Stevens City Council, where I served 3 years on the Lake Stevens City Council. My last year as chair of the council. And I also served on the Board of Health for the county. And I was also on the Board of Health for the county as the chair of that too. And so I have qualifications through that. And I also have personal qualifications in running my own business. I've been a small business owner for the past 10 years. And I just enjoy serving my community. And that's my qualifications.
Okay, Kristen.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thank you also to the League. I'm Kristen Kelly. I have lived in Snohomish County for 28 years. I was a small business owner for 14 years, so I know how budgets work and how important it is to keep your business going. I also am a mother, and I raised my son in the school district in Snohomish, and he's very successful now. I'm very proud of him. I feel like I'm a good candidate and would be a great county council member. I have worked for 15 years as a county advocate for 2 nonprofit organizations working on land use specifically and environmental protection. I've also been elected twice as your county charter review commissioner, and during those 2 times that I ran and won, I worked and the voters agreed, championed and the voters agreed for more county accessibility to the council and more accountability. And I'd like to go into more detail after if you have a question about that. So I feel like I know the county well, and I would do a great job for all of you.
Perfect timing. Now keep the microphone, because you get to do the next question first. Thank you. With 2 people, that's a little awkward. Sorry about that. Okay, the second question is, what makes the Sky Valley a great place to live in?
Well, I don't really need to tell you how beautiful it is here. We all know how beautiful the Sky Valley is. You have the farms, the forests, you have the beautiful Skykomish, Snohomish River Valley, the lakes, all of the other streams that feed into that. You have recreational opportunities, you know, abounding here. You know, you hiking, rafting, bicycling, ATVs and you know, trails. There's just so many things to do here, and we want to keep it that way. I think that's why you moved here, that's why you live here, and I know that's what is important to me as well. And even the people that live in the cities, the Sky Valley is very important. So I want to do what I can to protect it. I have been doing that for 15 years as an advocate, and I want to do that now as a decision maker.
Sky Valley is a great place to live, and it has everything that Snohomish County wants in it, from cities to our streams to our mountains and everything in between. But you know, Sky Valley also has a few other negatives, and one of the biggest negatives is the traffic on Highway 2. We need to fix the traffic on Highway 2. We need to make Highway 2 accessible for everybody that lives in this community so that they can get out on the weekends and go to the places that they need to go, whether it's shopping or to the ball fields or whatever it is. So Sky Valley itself is a beautiful place. It's a wonderful place. It's a place I'm proud to represent, and it's a great place for everybody to call home.
Okay, good. He's got the mic still. The next question is, what are 2 to 3 major issues facing Sky Valley in the next 5 years?
I think the first one would be the Singletary timber sale. The Singletary timber sale is what helps with jobs in this community. It helps fund our school district. It helps fund our hospital district, our fire district. And each one of these timber sales provide jobs to people here locally in our community. We need to keep fighting for timber jobs. We need to keep fighting for what's responsible. Earlier this year, I brokered a deal to preserve 25 acres at Singletary, and through that, we were able to do something that tried to work for everyone. Also, Highway 2, again, I already talked about it earlier, but we need to fix Highway 2. We need to fix traffic here in this area. 522 also. It's a lot for 1 minute, but hopefully I'll get more time to answer that.
Okay, so there's more than 2 to 3 issues, but the ones that I think are the most important right now are our shorelines. You know, the county's going to be starting work next year on updating their shoreline regulations. We have a beautiful rivers up here and lakes, and we need to keep them protected. That's one of the big issues, and it's a state mandated issue that we have to work on. So we can't just shove that into the corner. Another big issue is how are we going to streamline regulations for our small businesses so that they can thrive. You know, Sultan, Gold Bar, even Monroe, there's a lot of small business owners that are hurting, and they want to do good. They want to pay their people well, and we need to make it, we need to do all we can as county council people to make that happen, and I want to work on that issue specifically. And another issue, of course, he's right, you know, the traffic is an issue, and there's ways to go about it. It's not going to go away overnight. It's just not. I'll talk more about that.
You get to the chance to start the next question then. Okay, so since you both referred to this, and I've got a partial question for you, but I want to put to you, the question is, what is your position on safety and congestion of US 2? So we know that you guys think this is important. How about if you tell us a little more detail about issues on 2 and maybe 522?
Right.
Yep.
So I just read, you know, and I'm sure you read too, that actually there has been funding to do safety improvements along US 2 from, I think, the Trestle up through Monroe, and putting barriers in, and this is excellent. Now we need that same sort of safety from Monroe all the way to the county line, if not further. You know, we can do this, and we can get the funding, and I want to work to get the funding. In terms of congestion overall, you know, the more and more people that move out into the rural areas and into these smaller cities, even Sultan and Gold Bar, it's going to impact traffic. And that's just the way it is. What I'd like to do is make sure that the planning of our communities, actually as we grow over the next 20, 30, 40 years, that most of the growth goes into the areas, our urban areas in the western part of our county where there's infrastructure already there, there's transportation already planned or already existing.
Well, the answer is really simple. We need to build more lanes. 2 lanes is not enough through Sultan and Gold Bar. 522, the same thing. It goes from 4 lanes to 2 lanes back to 4. We need to put in more lanes. I've said all the way from the beginning when I started this campaign 2 years ago that we need to build more lanes. Earlier this year, about 6 weeks ago, I had WASDOT in to the county council, and I asked them what their plans are for Highway 2. They said, we don't have any plans for Highway 2. All of our planning is for I-90. And through that, they shared that over 1,000 more vehicles are traveling Highway 2 every single day. Also, there's the $17 million for fixes, highway improvements between Snohomish and Monroe, but there's also another $7 million of that $17 million that's not slated yet, and that $7 million can be used out here in the county. I will be fighting for that $7 million to be used right here in the Sultan and Gold Bar area.
Okay, and Kristen, you have a challenge? Okay, this is how this works. You have 45 seconds. I almost said 45 minutes. Bad idea. Okay, 45 seconds to state your challenge, and then Sam has 45 seconds. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so you know, I agree with you, Sam, that we need more money and that US 2 probably should be widened. However, $7 million is not going to widen that road. So I'm asking you what, you know, we can do as a county to get more funding, because I don't think our federal government right now is doing anything to make that happen.
First of all, it's not a federal issue, it's a state issue. The state says that they're not going to do it. Second of all, I've been to coffee with the mayor here. I've shared, I'm not going to wait on the state. I'm looking at county options. We're in the middle of the county budget process, and I've already committed to several $100,000 to be committed to this area from the county budget to help with other alternatives other than Highway 2, and that might be putting in a county road on the other side of the river, or maybe up closer to the mountains, and where we can do a bypass for Highway 2. And so there's several different options. I've been to Olympia fighting. I've been to Washington, D.C., and also met with our federal delegation, too.
Okay. Now, you have the next question first, I think, or you do, Kristen? I've lost track now.
I think it's me.
I think it's you, yeah. Okay, so next question. What does inclusion mean to you, and how do you propose to make Sky Valley more differently accessible?
You know, inclusion means including everybody and having everybody at the table. I talked about Singletary earlier, and when I first came into office, I sat around a table right here in town where we had people that didn't agree the same way we did. We had environmentalists there, we had people, just local citizens there, we had people from the county. And through that, we talked through our issues and what could we work on together. And we found that there was a way of saving the trail and working together as a community. Unfortunately, after we made a compromise, and I went to Olympia the next day and shared that compromise, got all 5 county council members to agree and the executive, some went back on that agreement. Some decided they didn't want to be part of that agreement after they already agreed to it. Inclusion means including everybody. I've got the track record that shows I'm willing to work with all sides. That's why I'm endorsed by Republicans, Democrats, and independents. And I'm endorsed by all 7 city council members here and the mayor.
Well, I work on several very important committees up the county, and I've worked on many over the years. And I am known to be a collaborator and a coalition builder. I built the Livable Snohomish County Coalition, where I brought in neighborhood groups from all over the county to get together and to help each other help our local elected leaders solve some very difficult issues in our communities. So I know I can do that kind of work because I've done it and I continue to do it. I did it as County Charter Review Commissioner as well. I worked on both sides of the aisle. There were Republicans and there were Democrats there, and we all worked together. In terms of the Singletary issue that my opponent keeps bringing up, you know, there was a court challenge because DNR made a big mistake, and he's leaving out that part. DNR made a mistake. The judge concurred with the appeal, the people that were appealing the DNR's decision to cut down Singletary. It's on hold. It's not over.
Thank you. Okay, Sam, we'll get the next question, I think. Or no, you haven't answered that one. Sorry.
Okay.
We pass it to him. Oh, you just did that one. Okay, sorry. Okay, so what is your position on unionizing, and everyone will have to help me, SCF 5? Question writers? Question writers? What is SCF? Maybe you all know. Snohomish County Fire District. Okay. Okay, that's for the fire district. Okay, sorry.
That's a fire district.
All right. Then, what is your position on expanding areas for street legal off-road vehicles?
Yes. Well, you know, this is an issue that I think needs a lot of time to consider. I think the people that are really pushing this are the people in the industry who want to sell these vehicles and make money. You know, opening up all the county roads east of Highway 9 for off-road vehicles doesn't seem like a very good idea right now, because how are we going to make sure the codes are enforced, that people are actually safe on these vehicles, that the people driving cars are not going to be hindered by these people? What kind of liability is it going to give to the county if somebody's killed on one of these things? You know, there's kids that can be on these. We might try maybe a little bit of territory to see how it works out, but opening all our county roads to ATVs just doesn't seem like a very smart idea. We're going to have 100,000 more people, 200,000 more people moving here in the next 20 years. Our roads are going to get more congested. So I don't think.
So I am for small businesses, and I have no problem with small businesses that want to sell these vehicles and make a profit to support their family and support their kids. I did propose that we have WATVs on all county roads east of Highway 9 and miles that are mile per hour of 35 miles an hour or less. And that's because that's after state law. State law addresses if people are injured and hurt and who's responsible. And state law is very clear when this was passed and signed by Governor Jay Inslee into law just a few short years ago. Since the time of introduction, I have scaled it down in meeting with our sheriff, meeting with our public works, and we're working on putting some routes right here out of Sultan as kind of a test pilot over the next year or two, and that'll be up for county vote on December 6th during our public hearing. I would encourage every person here, if you want WATVs on county roads, to come to the December 6th hearing and share your voice, because your opinion matters.
Okay, the next one to Sam. And just so everyone knows, at the end, we're going to have them, one of the questions, an opportunity to tell us anything we should have asked. So if you got cut off, you can put it in there. Okay, one more not prepared question. Well, prepared, but not sent to you ahead of time. What is your commitment to senior citizens?
I have a strong track record of commitment to our senior citizens. In the budget, the county budget that the county executive just proposed, we put some funding in for our senior centers. Our seniors need help. They're on fixed incomes. What happens is year after year, we keep raising taxes. We keep raising all the fees, and it's really outpaced our seniors. Our seniors can't afford any more fees. They can't afford any more property taxes. I've been on the record of supporting our seniors, standing for our seniors. I'm a regular visitor to the senior center where I live in Lake Stevens, and because I care about our seniors and the issues that they face on a daily basis.
Well, I am a senior citizen. I know I might not look like it, but I am 64 years old. So of course I support our seniors. And I haven't been able to work on these issues specifically, but I do agree with Sam that our seniors should not be taxed out of their homes, or if they need to find another place, they need to be affordable housing out there for them to secure. I don't think we're doing enough for them. I don't think we're doing enough for our veterans either, and other people that are homeless or looking for homes who can't afford homes in this county. You know, taxes, yes, that's one way, but we also got to make sure that we're building the kind of housing that people can afford to live in. And right now our county's more focused on building high-end homes and sprawling out than they are on finding affordable housing for people. And I want to work on that issue. It's very important. And I know a lot of people that are just struggling to keep their homes no matter what age they are. Senior citizens, yes, we need to take care of our senior citizens.
Okay, next question. I think it's you again, yes. So two more that they received ahead of time. Number one, what have we neglected to ask that you would like to bring attention to? Or I suppose, have you not had a chance to finish, or what piece have you not had a chance to say? Yeah.
So I get a minute to kind of, I want to talk a little bit more about the Singletary issue because I know it's close to home here. I think there's been a lot of misinformation, a lot of controversy over it. There's the people that have been working on this for years and years and years. They're your community members. They care about the environment here. They know that logging has to happen. They're not trying to stop the logging. They're trying to make it work for everybody. Junior taxing districts, yes, they need their taxes and they'll get them. But if we can do a plan that encompasses a very comprehensive plan of all of the forest land before we just start whacking it down so that one big corporation can make a lot of money. That's the way we should do it. We bring everybody to the table and really work these things through. This is what I think needs to be done. Nobody's trying to stop the logging at all. We're just trying to make it so that the environment also has a chance.
Thank you.
I think I'd like to share about the work that I've done in this community just in my short time being here. Earlier this year, my office reached out and helped with the historical grant for the startup gym. And that was $10,000. Also, recently, we helped with the small capital projects grant for the Sultan Elementary ball fields. And those were instances where my office reached out to this community and said, hey, these grants are available for people in the community. And we were very successful in getting those two things. I've also been working on the Sky Valley shooting range. We definitely need a shooting range in this area. I'm going to continue to fight for one. Index Galena Road, I've met with Susan Delbeni up at Index Galena recently, and we're going to get that road open so we can support our small businesses again and have tourism again. And so I'm actively working in issues that matter here, including Highway 2.
Okay, thank you. Now, the final question, so Sam will start first on this. What are 2 or 3 tasks that you would want to begin right away to work on if you should be elected?
Well, again, I was just elected 10 months ago, and right away I started meeting with stakeholders on our transportation issues. One of the first things I did was meet with all of our state legislators here in Snohomish County. We have 21 of them that cover districts, and I shared with them about all the school kids that are late to school in the Monroe School District on 522, and how if you add up all the time that they're late to school, it equals about 6,000 student hours that they've been late to school. I've also been working here on transportation on Highway 2, as I've shared, and then also lastly, tourism here. We need to continue to build up our tourism and continue to support our small businesses here in Sultan and Gold Bar and in the Sky Valley. Thank you for your time tonight.
2 to 3 issues. Well, as I said before, the Shoreline Master Plan amendments are going to be coming up. Very important. You know, you want your river to be healthy. You want your lakes to be healthy. You want your drinking water to be clean. So this is something I think is very valuable and important, and I want to work on that. Regulations for small businesses. We need to ease those. We need to figure out ways that our small businesses in any city, in any town, can be more successful, because that is the backbone of every community. I want to also advocate for some more funding through the state, the federal government, locally, what we can do for more safety improvements along Highway 2. You know, it'd be great to widen the road. I think someday that'll probably happen, but I think it's in the distance, and we ought to be real about that. You know, we need to, I want to focus on where we should be putting the growth through the next 20 years. You know, some growth's going to come in Sultan and Gold Bar, but most of it should go where the transportation networks already exist.
Okay, thank you both for the answers to all these questions. And now would be an appropriate time, you both answered, right? Yeah, for you to give them some applause, thank them. And I want to just thank them for taking the time to run. It is a lot of effort, and for being willing to serve and for serving. That's really a great thing. And now we're going to ask the fire commissioners if they would come up. Okay, gentlemen, thank you. So we asked them to prepare the same questions that we asked the county commissioners, that we asked school board, everybody. So we're going to start at the far end of the table. Okay, want to make sure what order you're in there. Okay, with Kelly. And the first question is, what qualifications and experience make you a strong candidate for this office?
Well, first, I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight to learn about us as candidates so you can make an educated decision, and thank the league for putting this on. Qualifications and experience that I would bring to this position are many years of volunteer and part-time service in this community specifically. I started here as a volunteer, transitioned into a part-time firefighter here as well, when our department transitioned into a part-paid and part-time fire department. During that time, I also went to college. got a degree in fire science, and then moved on to become a full-time firefighter. So that combined gives me 16 years in the industry. I'm also a local taxpayer, a fiscally conservative individual, and I feel like those attributes and my experiences make me a strong candidate. Thank you.
It's on at the top.
Good evening. I'm Roger Knowlton, a District 5 Fire Commissioner and a candidate for re-election. My family and I have served the Sky Valley for many decades. I have been a firefighter, EMT, captain, your fire chief in the past. I've also served 2 terms on the Sultan City Council. My focus has been on representing your interest here in the Sky Valley. I've asked tough questions, treated every dollar as if it was yours, because it is. I have a deep respect for our firefighters. I'm committed to providing the tools and the training they need. I have learned over the last 24 years as a commissioner that this job is about decisions far beyond putting out fires. It's about understanding laws, policy, making financial decisions with long-term impact. I've led partnerships with the DNR, PUD, City of...
Thank you. Okay, next question. You get to start with this question as well. Okay, what makes Sky Valley a great place to live in?
Our fire department motto is, our family helping yours. We in the Sky Valley are a family, and we look out for each other. After many years of careful decisions, we have a truly excellent fire department. People far and wide know this. Our fire chief is outstanding and respected around the state. Our office staff is small, and we have extremely reasonable costs, all under local control. We make it a priority to work on joint projects like earthquake drills with the schools. You see our volunteers at all community events. I believe in having fire and EMS services remain local, under your vote, your control, not diluted by votes of thousands of people in other cities. Thank you.
Okay, goes to Kelly.
With beautiful days like today, it's hard not to see what makes this community great. We have a lot of things going for us here. We have good paying industry jobs, just a short commute away, although those commutes are getting longer. We have tons of recreation, just a stone's throw away. Doesn't matter if you like to fish or hunt, hike or bike, it's all right here. We also have a small town feel, kind of like Roger was leading to. And we have neighbors helping neighbors. And I would be proud to be a neighbor that gets to continue to help each and every one of you by making decisions for the fire district and helping to guide them to be a more professional, more robust, and efficient fire department.
You get to start the next question, which is, what are 2 to 3 major issues facing us in the next 5 years?
Well, obviously growth, no secret, we're getting 400 new homes up on the basin shortly. You know, that can equate to about 1,600 new residents, and with that will be increased call volume. Our call volume here in this district has been steadily growing, but that means we also have to address staffing. We need to improve our staffing. We currently have an open position that is in the budget last 2 years, and they haven't filled it. Doesn't make sense to me. That needs to be filled. We also need to staff the part-time system in a more robust manner and use them more efficiently. I think by adopting best practices in the industry, we can do that. We can have a combination department that works better for all of us and keeps us all safe in our homes when we're here in the beautiful Sky Valley.
You should answer it first and then challenge. Okay.
We are still recovering from a financial downturn of 2008. To protect our citizens, we made some tough choices not to saddle taxpayers with any unnecessary expenses. My top priority is to continue to make careful decisions, allowing us to have the best quality emergency services for the most cost-effective price possible. Second, I believe in local control. I'll be glad to talk about that at any time with anybody. Finally, I believe we need a new fire station. We have been planning it for some time, and this year we will make the final payment on the land. We plan to build a cost-effective facility that will be a true anchor and a source of pride in the community for many types of emergencies.
Okay, and you want to pose a challenge? 45 seconds.
Kelly said that we had a position that was open of a full-time fire position, fireman. That we decided that if we paid our part-time people a wage that was more reasonable, and then hired somebody else in the office later in a position to help our chief, that 6 person's wages would be spent a lot more, we would get a lot more mileage out of the money. And I think our part-time people all agree with that. Thank you.
Okay, so you have a chance to respond to his challenge, and then you have another challenge, is that right?
No, I'm sorry, I misunderstood the challenge.
Oh, okay. You're good now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of what Roger has mentioned here is kind of muddy in the water. That position was open for over a year, and this Board of Commissioners was approached by an individual in the community who was concerned that her tax dollars were being taken in by the district, but they weren't being used as the district said. They also ran a maintenance and operations levy that said that they were going to maintain staffing. So aside from just having your fire and EMS, they also went after an M&O that brought your tax levy or your tax rate to the highest in the county. They had an entire year where they didn't fill that position before they made any attempt to try and change staffing, whether it was paying more or not.
Thank you. Okay, so now you get to start with the next question, and I'm going to go back to the one that I thought was county council, which is, what is your position on unionizing the Sultan SCF 5?
You said it again, ma'am.
Yes. What is your position on unionizing SCF 5?
I have been a union member myself, and I'm not against unions. I work construction in the state on a lot of construction projects on the highway and stuff, and you had to belong to the union. So I'm not against unions. I'm against unions that want to come in and take over by a merger of District 5. I don't think the people in this district want that.
So the question, unionizing Snohomish County Fire District number 5, kind of an interesting question. It's already unionized. We have union paid staff here currently. They work alongside non-union members. They both do an exceptional job. Myself, I am a union member. I support the unions because they affect everybody's wages, and that's a good thing. They also affect everybody else's benefits as well. My competitor here is a little misinformed in that there's no strong arm or union takeover being attempted. I'm not really sure where those comments come from. Also, I just would like to point out that at no point have I used the term union bastards, unlike my competitor. So while he may have been a union member at some point, I think his feel for the union has definitely changed.
You'll have the opportunity to start the next question? Yes. Okay. This is kind of a long one, so hang on, and I'll repeat it if you need it. It's, would Fire District 5 give up independence if annexed by Clearview District 7, and what would be the role of the fire commissioner in such an annexation?
So again, there's more talk of annexations and mergers and a lot of stuff that's being brought by my opponent and his cohort, one of the other on the Board of Commissioners, who seem to feel that that is my agenda. Though they've never asked my platform, a merger is nothing that I have been pushing for. I have been asked about mergers in the past, and I'll simply say the same thing I say every time. I'm open to new ideas that will create less of a tax burden on our citizens and increase our service. If somebody at some point says, hey, we would like to merge with you, let's look at it. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. The reality is, as a fire commissioner, especially one fire commissioner, I don't get to make that decision. If it makes sense, I get to bring it to you, the voters, to decide. You guys ultimately make the decision, not the Board of Commissioners.
The an attorney that we now have working for the fire department has seen he has never seen a merger that actually reduced cost for a district, because the bigger you get, the more money you spend. So it's as far as Kelly not saying anything about him being for a merger, we've had union people in here from District 7 at coffee with the mayor telling what a great thing it would be if they could help us out and we could eventually all work together. And that's the same thing that Clearview told Monroe before they took them over.
Okay, Kelly, you want to offer a challenge?
Yeah, I do. The facts just aren't there. I haven't been working with anybody about a merger. That is something that the Board of Commissioners would have to introduce to a neighboring jurisdiction or vice versa. A neighboring jurisdiction, this isn't something that's brought on by unions. This is something that is brought on by a Board of Commissioners making educated decisions and looking out for the betterment of their community. Not all mergers are bad, not all mergers are good. Some allow people to maintain control in certain precincts, and you know, if that's something that works and looks good for us, then maybe we should pursue it. But again, I have not had that as part of my platform.
In your response, Roger?
I'm not against unions. What I am is anti-consolidation. That's a trend right now of districts merging with other districts to get bigger and have more money. Employees like it because they get paid more. I'm opposed to this trend, and it's not in the community's best interest. I want accountability, efficiency, and local control. There are 193 fire commissioner races in the state of Washington. And right now, this race is the 4th most expensive in the state because the union wants to merge with Clearview.
Thank you very much.
Wants us to merge with Clearview.
Okay. Now, we have the 2 more questions that have been sent out ahead of time, and this one gives you the opportunity, either one of you, to either add something or that where you. So the question is, what have we neglected to ask you that you would like to bring attention to? And I believe we start with you again, Roger. Sorry. It's what have we neglected to ask that you would like to bring attention to?
it's, excuse me a minute. We need a adequate fire station to replace the one we have downtown here. It floods. It is subject to no parking around it. And a few years ago, we bought a piece of ground east of town on the 4-lane. And when the downturn came around, at that time, we were going to lay plans to build a new fire station that would be used also by the community out there. And when things went sour with money, we decided not to take and tie the taxpayer up with paying out on money that at that time would have
Thank
been
you.
hard to come by.
Could I have the question again, please? I'm sorry.
Sure. What have we neglected to ask you that you would like to bring attention to?
One of the things I'd like to bring attention to is that, like I may have mentioned to earlier, there's a commissioner on this board that had an editorial published that was full of misinformation. That commissioner said that my only role here was to attempt to get 5 individuals a pay raise. In fact, it's completely incorrect, and quite opposite is what has taken place. We have a deputy chief that was a volunteer. That individual received a quadrupled pay raise, very minimal addition to his workload, and our department did not use best practice at hiring an individual and promoting that individual to assistant chief. He has lackluster training, always doing the bare minimums, and this is the second time that they have done this, and the last time that individual was let go, and we paid out 6 months of their salary as they left and did not continue to work.
Thank you. Okay, and then you'll start the last question, which is, what are 2 to 3 tasks that you would want to begin right away to work on if you should be elected?
Yeah, so right out the gate, if I were elected, the thing I would really want to work on is a 5-year plan, where we're going, a roadmap essentially, where we need to be in 5 years. Through my public records request, I have yet to see a 5-year plan that is an actual 5-year plan. It's more like a history book. I also would like to work on department SOPs. We currently don't have a very robust SOP manual. Some of the SOPs date back to 1994. It's over 20 years old. We need to bring that up to date. That's kind of an industry standard on every fire department in the state. And keeping the fire engine with the staff at night. Part of my platform has been I want to keep those individuals at night with the fire engine so there's not a 5 to 6 minute delay if you have a fire or a motor vehicle accident or a gas leak or something that requires that fire engine. Let's spend a few thousand if we don't have the millions to build a station and staff that engine at night.
I have one very big task going on. Think about this. It takes 3 things to make an effective fire department: people, equipment, and a good place to put them. Over the years, we've done a great job on the first 2. Now we need an adequate fire station. Our current station floods when the river rises, and as I said before, the parking is short. We had planned to start building the station in 2008, but the economy turned down. We continued with the planning process, even though Ms. Kelly doesn't think so. We continued with decided not to saddle our citizens with construction bonds or levies during difficult times. The delay has been painful for our crews, but is worthwhile for the community. Now it's time to move forward, and after the election, I'm eager to begin the job of building
Thank
a
you
station.
very much. Thank you both very much. Can we give them a big hand? Okay, we're going to be having the school board candidates come up. And I want to just thank the Fire Commission particularly, because this is not something I've understood very well, and I've now learned about Snohomish and you both, so expanding my horizons. Now, if you get an extra challenge card, that doesn't mean you get an extra challenge, just saying. Let's start down at that end down there. Now, since I can't quite see the name tags, let's see if I have right. On the far end is Angie, next to her is Kate, next to her is Byron, then Mike, then Jordan. Have I got you right? All right, good. I'll do the best I can with this. All right. Okay, we got a bigger group this time, so it takes a little longer to get through the questions. And we have the same beginning questions for this group that we have for all the others. So the first question, starting on that end with Angie, and then second question will come to Kate. It'll be a little easier to pass it among 5. Okay, is what qualifications and experience make you a strong candidate for this office?
All right, here we go. All right, so I am a community member that has resided in the Sultan School District my entire life. I have 2 nephews in the Sultan School District that I am heavily involved in with their schooling and with their activities. I have been a volunteer soccer coach for many different age groups of children, giving me the opportunities to teach fundamentals, teamwork, respect for others, and for the love of soccer. My experiences, I have been a supervisor for 20 years. My professional background has equipped me with well-rounded skills. I've been through many training classes. One particular one that I think could help me on the school board is how to communicate effectively with others. I work daily using my leadership skills, team building, problem solving, and listening skills. I'm also an internal auditor for my company where I work with procedures and I audit areas daily. I have volunteered for many different events. Among those are Relay for Life as a team captain.
Hi, thank you for coming. I'm Kate Raisler, and I'm running for the school board for the startup and gold bar areas. My experience is that I'm a mom, a grandma. I have a huge family and a strong family background in the valley. I've been here myself for 20 years and my family for 4 generations. So that gives me a different perspective, and I've had kids go through both the Sultan schools and other school districts. I've been able to travel the country. I have a teacher nephew who teaches in Chicago and now in Florida. And I have also worked with the fur industry in building coalitions and passing legislation. So I have a strong background in working with legislators and with the communities. Thank you.
All right, I'm Brian Atkinson. One of the things that I have that I bring to the table is I work in the private sector. I'm in the boardrooms all the time, and I ask the tough questions, and I get away with it. I also have years of volunteer service through churches, youth organizations, and here at the Sultan School District. I have experience in looking at plans, seeing how those plans are applied, and looking for the loopholes and also looking at what is wrong with that plan and why will it or not work or not work. Those are some of the things that I bring to the table. I think my experience is very well rounded and that I have the ability to ask the questions that nobody else wants to ask. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Farnell. I'm a resident of 20 plus years here. Been a youth coach for many sports over the years, over 15 years. My qualifications, I work with manufacturing, hospital, and government systems. And I work with their boards intimately to help them understand some of the big issues that are blocking or preventing them from getting the right areas or the right locations of where they want to go in their organizations. I'm also a local business owner, and I'm dedicated to the community here. And we've raised our family here. We've had 6 children, but 5 of the 6 have gone through K through 5 at all the schools in the Sultan School District. I believe my long-term residency and my experience working with boards will provide the right direction for the Sultan School District. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jordan Sears. The qualifications that make me a strong candidate for this position, position 2 for the school board, is that I know what it's like to be a student here in Sultan School District in the 21st century. I understand and know personally, and I have felt the repercussions of the school board's actions and inactions. I know what it's like to sit in a desk for 8 hours every day for each week for the past 15, 16 years. And I know what it's like to sit and be prepared and for tests that we have to take. I also volunteered for Sultan School District and Sultan High School's English department for the past 2 years. And I have cultivated professional relationships with teachers, administration officials, and other members of staff. I believe that as someone who has been and has spent his entire life in public education, that though together we can work with our teachers to fight for our students to ensure better lives for everyone.
Okay, let's pass it down there. And Kate will be the first one for this question? Yeah, okay. This question is, what makes Sky Valley a great place to live?
I think the Sky Valley is great because it's gorgeous. But not only that, we have a true sense of community. And if we just tap into the resources we have in the community, we can make it that much better and focus the talent and the professionalism and the diversity that's in the community back into our students and back into our children. I think that's what the taxpayers, the voters want. I think they want a better, well-rounded education. We have great examples right here in the Valley, not only of college level jobs, but a lot of the trades, and a lot of the trades are becoming more and more valuable to the students and to the population in general. Thank you.
I was just remembering how old my youngest son is because I've lived here as long as he's been here. I've been here for over 17 years, working on 18 right now in the Sky Valley. And yeah, I agree, it's a beautiful place to wake up in the morning. I love looking up and seeing the snow line up in Gold Bar where we reside. But the thing that's always stood out for me is that the people of the Sky Valley are what make it great. Everywhere you turn, somebody's volunteering, somebody's doing something. How many of you here have been to the musical here that they put on every year? That's amazing what they do with so little. And it's amazing what they do. The tech club, with the things that those kids do on a daily and a weekly basis, it's amazing. They need some support, and I want to be here to be able to help them. It's a great place to live, and we want to continue it to be a great place to live.
First of all, the Sky Valley is a beautiful place to live. I think everybody recognizes that. Usually when I'm not working or busy, I'm in a stinky pair of waders on a river somewhere trying to catch some of our fish. But if you look at all the great families and people and community and teachers and educators that we have here, It's just an amazing place to be. That's why we put our roots here. The sense of community that we have is strong. Even though we are small, we're really diverse. And that's what makes us unique. So I'm proud to live here, and I'm proud to be a part of this community, and I want to make it a great community. When I moved here 20 years ago, it was busting at the seams, and it's just continued to kind of go in the wrong direction. I want to see if we can get that back and get that pride back into our area.
I think I can agree with the rest of the candidates that it is a very beautiful place to live. One of my opinions, and one of the reasons I think that this is a great community to live in, is the sense of community. Whether it's from people planting flowers and picking up trash on Main Street here in Sultan or even in Gold Bar, whether it's the coming out and supporting our sports teams and our musicals and the band here at the school, or whether it's just helping out people who need help. My grandpa was sick, and I had to help him out, and a lot of community members came out to help. People I didn't know, people I did know, teachers. And those teachers are some of the best people I know, and they would all the community members and those teachers would have done the same for me, and I would do the same for them if they were in the same situation. And I think we should help our teachers, who are great community members also, and they are just amazing people who will do whatever it takes to help our students.
Oh, sorry. All right, I'm left. Don't want to leave somebody out.
Is it on? Okay, there we go. All right, so I think everybody's kind of talked about everything here, but the one thing that amazes me is most of you guys probably all have Facebook, and if there's anything going on in our community where somebody needs something, you can go on the Facebook and you can see how much our community cares and helping each other out. Just all the comments that you see, what can I do? How can I be there? The many fun activities that we have here, the amazing volunteers, my friends and family all live here, the beautiful scenery. I work in Kirkland, and I do a 5 to 1:30 shift, so I beat all the traffic, but the most relaxing to be able to get in my car and come home to the beautiful scenery that we have here. And nights like this, seeing all the amazing people that are here tonight and then to help put this event together, and all the candidates that are willing to step up and run for a position to help make our communities and schools the best they can be.
Okay, the next question is, what are 2 to 3 major issues facing us in the next 5 years? By the way, did you notice how good they are at sharing the mic? Their teachers would be proud.
We need to address the school bond issue. That needs to be addressed. We need to figure out a way to maintain our schools and also be able to expand our classrooms and to add technology into our classrooms so that our students are better prepared to enter the technology that's out there. We also need to address the contract for the teachers coming up. That's very, very soon. And we need to figure out a way to recruit and retain the best educators that we can. And those are the issues I see.
So next 5 years, I think a lot of us have talked about growth. So we need to make sure that we find the ways to meet the needs of our growing community. So we need to make sure that we are attracting and hiring and retaining teachers and educators here in the Sky Valley. And finally, we need a collaborative approach between our school board, all of our schools, and the community to improve the educational outcomes for our children and in the district that the district serves. One thing that we need to make sure is that we're all on the same page going forward, so we don't have the debacle that we had a couple years ago in the pond family.
The first issue that I see that we are facing is the influx of hundreds of new houses that many of the other candidates today have talked about. With these new houses, we will be seeing an increase in the number of students attending Sultan School District. And this becomes a problem knowing that our schools are already too small for our students that we currently have. We've had to put up the portables outside, and you can just, when you leave the building, you can see them. The second issue is the growing number of teachers and staff members considering leaving the school district. And I can tell you now, it's not because they want to, it's because they will have to. Each year they continue to get less help from the district and the state, and continue to fund a majority of their classes themselves. Through my research and speaking with many teachers throughout the district, they are currently spending an average of $6,000 of their own personal money on their classrooms each year, and that's unacceptable.
So I believe that we also need to get a bond passed. We need a more comprehensive bond that works for everybody. And how are we going to house all the students? Kelly just told us that we're getting ready to put 400 new houses in. So yes, we need a place to house all of our students and continue with the growth in the graduation numbers.
Probably the biggest thing will be our budget and try and figure out how the new state money is going to work. That'll be our first hurdle. And once we kind of get that figured out, we have to work with the bonds. We have to get something that addresses both the wants and the needs of the school district and the community. And we have to change the focus. We have to make these kids be members of society and give them every tool that they possibly can get, that we possibly can find for them, and be able to have them go out in society and succeed no matter what they want to do.
Ready to go again, okay? All right, the first question from the audience, and a lot of you have referred to this. This summer, the legislature passed a bill that they hoped would meet the McClary decision requirements. From your perspective, did they succeed? Why or why not?
I'm drawing a blank right now. Can I pass and come back to that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
First off, I'm going to say that they didn't meet the standards that the Supreme Court set. I don't think that they did. I don't think that this budget goes far enough in helping just regular students, but also students with special needs. It allows, well, first off, they say that there's new money coming in, but it's not new money. They're capping the levy system that we've been using, which does help out our citizens and our taxpayers. But then what they've done is they've added a new tax on housing, which will just cover that. There's no more money going in, and there's, quite frankly, less money going in, not just in our school district, but across the state. We might have less problems, but I know Olympia, they're losing $4 million this year and over the next couple of years. And after 2019, this state budget will not help anymore. It will actually be worse.
Can you read the question again?
Sure. This summer, the legislature passed a bill that they hoped would meet the McClary decision requirements. From your perspective, did they succeed? Why or why not?
I would have to research more into that, but I believe that they did not reach it, but I would definitely have to look more into that.
I think that's a valid point, and I think that the legislation is just written. And if you work a lot with legislators and with new laws and new ideas, they're quite fluid for a while. And they're tested in courts and tested in reality. So if this first bit doesn't work, we need to be able to go back to the legislature and say, hey, listen, this doesn't work because we need you to change this aspect of it. And I'm sure it's not 100% of what we need. The teachers are not going to show up at school on Monday and have everything they need in that classroom. There's no way. So we need to have the ability to continue to change the laws and continue to be concise in what we ask for.
I think our legislature passes a lot of laws and doesn't know how they're quite going to fund it sometimes. Did they do it? No, absolutely not. We still have too many students in the classrooms. We're not able to meet the needs of all of our students. Do we need to ask the questions? Yeah, we need to go down to Olympia. We need to ask the question. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to help us? But we also need to look inward and say, what are we going to do to make the most of what we have right now? Because those are the students that need us the most, the ones that we have in front of us right now.
And I'm going to have to do a little more research on that to see if it was successful or not.
Okay, so, and then the next question will be first from Jordan. Okay, so the next question is, how would you make our school and school events more inclusive for differently abled students?
Well, first off, I've been to sporting events many years through my high school experience. I was a member of the marching band and band classes. And at least with the football games, they are very inclusive. I was in a wheelchair. I have severe arthritis. I was in a wheelchair, and I was able to get to the football games. And those basketball games, we've got an elevator over there. And when it comes specifically to sporting events, I think we've done pretty well in helping those people who are physically disabled get to those sporting events.
I agree with Jordan. I believe that it's already exclusive and they can get to the sporting events and places that they need. I think everybody is willing to help. They have the elevators, they have the ramps out by the field and places, so I think it's already exclusive.
Well, they may be inclusive physically, but what we need to work on is to be inclusive for everybody. Whether you're a real football nut or a real computer geek, you ought to be able to have more interaction, and you ought to be able to take the kid that learns by touching, and the kid that learns by looking, and the kid that learns by hearing, and find something in all of the sports and everything to draw the whole student body in. Draw the whole student body into the musicals. You know, whether you have the crowd sing a song at one of them, you know, that type of thing, I think that can still use some work.
The neat thing about our community is that there's something for everybody. We can always find some way for people to participate, whether they're standing on the sidelines or they're actually on the field. TurkPride.tv has lots of volunteer opportunities available for people. We need people to chase the balls at the volleyball game when they go out of bounds. We can include everybody in all the activities that we have. We also need to be able to reach out to those people and let them know that they're invited and they're welcome to be there. I think embracing the differences that they have and finding ways for everybody to be a part of it. And I think that they'll find true joy in being a part of what we have here.
I think there are many opportunities for all of our students, whether it be in sports, musicals, drama, tech club. If you look at everything that we have to offer here at Sultan, and then also as far as the accessibility, we can always improve our accessibility. If you look down at the lower football field, how many different, handicap parking do we have down in that area? What can we do to help improve, make sure that there's more accessibility for people to come to our sporting events? But as far as, try closer? Okay. So, but as far as making sure that everybody's included, all of my children that went here, there was opportunities for every single one of them to participate in anything that they wanted to, whether it would be drama, singing, music, sports, and I don't feel, and being a coach in the community, making sure that you're looking at and adapting your
Okay, we're going to pass it down, and the last audience question, we'll start with Angie. We have 2 more prepared questions, but the last audience question. Okay, this is a long one, so I'll be happy to repeat it if it doesn't all come through. If a school board member is related to a Sultan district staff member, it could cause a conflict of interest. Would that mean that the person would have to recuse themselves from negotiations?
I do not believe that they would have to. I believe that they can separate that whoever it is that's working for the school district, and I believe that they will do their position that they need to do for the Sultan School Board. So I do not believe that they will have to.
I don't know what the laws are governing it, but I also am on the Startup Water Board. And if something comes up in front of a board and it does involve a family member, whether it's legal or not, you should recuse yourself. Now, if it's something that's not black and white, something that is not, critical, should we give an award to my husband? Well, I probably wouldn't recuse myself from that. But if it was, a disciplinary action or a complaint against a staff member, definitely, you should be recused from that type of discussions.
I think it depends upon what the issue is, if they should have to recuse themselves. If it has to do with the pay or a position of a family member, then they would need to recuse themselves. But anything else, I see no problem with a board member having family that works at the school district. I think that it's a good thing that they have those interactions, because that's how we are able to form our opinions of how things are supposed to be and what the issues are that they're addressing. So, thank you.
There are certain things that, when you are in the school board, that you have to make sure that you're approaching it appropriately. I am married to a teacher who teaches here at the Sultan High School, so there would be certain things that I would definitely have to recuse myself. I'd have to back off, depending on the situation. But if it was negotiating for a contract, that's where you have to be able to separate family and look at what's best for the community. But if the school board or the community wanted me to step back in negotiations, then I would respect that opinion.
I have researched this because I know there is another board member currently who does have a family member in the school board, and they would have to recuse themselves when it comes to financial instances of any kind. So whether it is collective bargaining, whether it is whatever, they would have to recuse themselves. And I think that we should have all board members be able to participate in everything as much as possible so that we can get the best for our students and our teachers.
Okay, we're going to pass. Did you guys get a turn yet? I've lost track. Yeah, you did. Okay, so are you next, Kate?
I'm next.
All right, that's what I thought. So this gives the candidates an opportunity to respond to something we've not asked. So what have we neglected to ask that you would like to bring attention to?
Well, I think that I would like to see a change in kind of the attitude toward teaching. If you watch the news and some of the teacher awards, you see the kids in Seattle. And a 4th grade kid kind of stood out. Goes, well, I have to get good grades so that I can go to college, otherwise I'll end up in a dead-end job. I think we need to change that narrative, and that's something that we really haven't talked about. I also in my family have a very diverse set of learning skills. I have a son who is a PhD. I have a son who's a high school dropout. I have a grandson who is a genius, and I have a grandson who is Down syndrome. And we need to figure out how to take all of these people and all of these little budding minds and teach them the skills that they'll need to go out in the big bad world. And I think that needs to be more of our focus than a college education. Thank you.
To me, education is more than just the students that go to school here. It's about the community. I'd like to have us explore continuing education options. I'd like to reach out to the community colleges, maybe have a couple classes here at Sultan at night, math, computers, skills that people can need, English. A lot of us have English as a second language here in the Sultan School District. We need to be able to help those people. I'd also like to continue to explore college in the classrooms for our students and also expand on our special needs students and be able to offer them more. That's what I wanted to say. Thanks.
One of the things that I would hope that we haven't really addressed is communication. One of the things that I see just from afar is I see silos. And what I mean by silos, I see different camps all over our community. And what I want to be able to do is bring those camps together, whether it's an educator or teachers, or people that are sitting in the school board, or parents, or whomever, and begin to find out what are the big issues, so we can begin to address those big issues. Sometimes we skirt around them and we don't ask those hard questions, or begin to address them. You know, sometimes we like to we like to throw problems over the fence, but what can we do as a community to bring those solutions and work together as a community? Because I know that we are a very tight-knit community in this area, and we can come up with some great solutions for our children and create great community members for the future.
I agree with Mike on this. I do believe that communication is a big issue that the district has had. Whether it comes to just this Friday, we found out that there was no homecoming parade. That was only released on Friday when it would have normally happened. Now, I understand there are problems and other things that go along with that, but communication in general, whether it's helping out students with 504 plans or IEPs, and I also believe that students don't have to go to college. They can go to apprenticeships, they can go to trade schools, and we should be pushing that more. And I know we have been pushing it over the past 5 years, but I think we can go further, especially in expanding our STEM programs, or science, technology, engineering, and math. I know 2 years ago, Sultan High School won a grant by OSBI, and I believe that we should create that into STEAM and add arts into that, because the fine arts, whether it's music or whatnot, cultivates into
I believe the same thing. I believe that every kid needs to be supported in whatever they plan on doing, and that includes from our Sky Valley family. I have a positive attitude towards public education. I'm open-minded and will always ask myself, is this the best thing for our students? I will work hard in the needs of the students, teachers, parents, faculty, staff, and the citizens of our community. I would be honored to receive your vote for Sultan School District.
Okay, and our last question is, what are 2 to 3 tasks that you would want to be in right away to work on if you should be elected?
I believe I said earlier, we need to figure out a way to get a bond passed. That's one of the most important things, is maintaining our schools and expanding our schools for the future. We also need to get a fair contract and be able to recruit and retain the best educators that we can.
One of the things I'd like to see is complete transparency in issues that are facing our schools. Also transparency around the financial issues, so we can begin to work on that bond that Brian talked about, make sure that we can pass it. And again, with the growth that's coming at us, we have to make sure that we are addressing our schools, not only from a size, but we need to look at the educators and our teachers. Make sure that we can attract and retain good teachers. And those are the two to three things. Then also the community, and trying to get everybody to talk. And let's work through the issues, because I know that we can do that.
I think we can all agree that we need a bond passed. 2 years ago, there was a bond that failed. I personally supported it, though there were parts of it that I disagreed with. And I think that overall will help on a lot of smaller issues, especially class schedules. Currently in Sultan High School and Sultan Middle School, there are 7-period days. I don't think that's enough time for our teachers to give our students the one-on-one time that they may need, whether they are aptly able or if they are special needs. I think that we should be going to a block schedule that has worked across the state, across the country, and quite frankly, across the world. There's also a small issue I want to deal with, is to be more accurate in the things that we teach, specifically our maps. We currently use what's called the Gauss-Peter projection, which is wrong. On a flat map, it perceives the southern hemisphere of Africa and South America as way too small.
Thank you.
All right, due to the recent incident of the threat to our school, I would like to review the procedures on it. I'm not saying that anything went wrong with how it happened, but since I work with procedures, I would love to look more into that. The bond and levies would be things that I would like to see why the bond didn't pass, getting community involvement on why that, or what you guys would like to see, and the levies, and I think that's it. And just getting myself in there to see what's going on.
What I would like to start with is, in regards to the threat that happened to the school, I would like to start something that would give kids better coping skills, a better option than blowing up the school. I think that that would help immensely on that type of thing. Also, I'd like to start something, and we'll steal from Mayor Eslick, and we'll do a maybe a quarterly coffee with the school board, and just not have an agenda. Just meet somewhere in an evening, and everybody from the community can come in and say anything they want. I'd like to completely end what any child would feel is being bullied. And I think that part of that will also be the coping skills. If somebody says that they hate everybody with short blonde hair, I've got to be able to figure out how to handle that, and that's not taught.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's give a hand for these candidates. Thank you so much, all of you, for running. And our final group will be the Sultan City Council. Okay, one thing that's going to be slightly different about this last group is that we always offer a candidate who's not able to attend the opportunity to stand statements. And so we have some statements from Rocky Walker for our first 3 questions. So what I will do is here in between Dustin and Jason, when it would be Rocky's turn, I will read his statement, okay? And if you guys will help me with that, I think I've got it right, but help me if I skip over that. That would be great. Okay, we want to know from you folks, what qualifications and experiences make you a strong candidate for this office? And we're going to start at the far end with, Christina.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for putting this on tonight. My name is Christina Sivrite, and I'm running for Sultan City Council position number 6. I've lived in the greater Sky Valley area for over 15 years. I value this community, and I'm very proud to call Sultan my home. I have 20 plus years work experience, and it is accumulation of program and site operations, facilities, management, supervision, career coaching, and adult education. This overall set of skills, I feel, makes me a well-balanced, provides me with a well-balanced set of leadership skills and the ability to use my business savvy to evaluate and make good decisions and in a responsible manner, which I think is very important to this community. So.
Good evening, registered voters of Sultan and surrounding areas. My name is Marianne Naisland, and my husband Kevin and I bought our house in Sultan in 1993. It was one of the best decisions we ever made. We've raised our kids in Sultan and are proud of them in their young adult lives. Family is very important to us, and in the past year, we have stepped up to care for Kevin's aging parents with progressive medical issues. For this reason, I am withdrawing from the election to continue caring for my in-laws full-time in their home. I think Christina Sivrite will do an amazing job in serving in position number 6, and I support her in her campaign. Thank you all for the past 4 years, and I'll still be around. Good night.
My name is Jason Lee, and I'm running for Sultan City Council position 3. And ultimately, on a side note, my notes are on my phone. I'm not playing Candy Crush or anything, but you know. Ultimately, I am not a politician. I don't consider myself one. I've never run for an office before. This is my first time. But what I am is a husband, a father, and a resident of Sultan. I graduated from Central Washington University with a degree in Information Technology, Administrative Management with a specialization in Administrative Management, which in short is managing managers. I've never been called for jury duty. I feel this is my chance in life where I have the time and the energy to fulfill my civic duty and hopefully keep Sultan to be a great place to raise a family and continue to grow as a community.
Okay, this will probably be the only time you will hear Rocky with an alto voice, right? Okay, qualifications and experience. My volunteer work in the community has afforded me the chance to really get to know the great people that make our city such a special place to live. I have forged great relationships with our city staff, public works team, and with many of our elected officials at the county and state levels. In the last 4 years, as your city council member, I have made several trips to Olympia, working to secure funding for vital infrastructure projects throughout our city. With your support, I will continue these efforts for the next 4 years. And then we'll move on.
Hi, my name is Dustin Burdett, running from Sultan, City Council Position 2. So first of all, I live and work in Sultan, so my life revolves around it. I want to work for the people, most importantly, and I do care about everyone in this city. I mean, I like to meet everyone, first of all, but one big thing, I will make decisions based off the values of the city and the people, not just my personal values, because I understand what the position means. And I've worked with several different types of businesses, either it's restaurants or obviously dealerships, as I'm sure I've met several of you at the dealership, the small one down the road. So I've close with other people and help people build careers. And I love to see this city grow. And I'm kind of new around here, but I can tell you what I've seen is it's beautiful. So, thank you.
Hello, I'm John Seahus. I've lived in the valley about 29 years. I have about 38 years of multi-unit operations management. I did 8 years as Director of Operations for the school district, 5 years as the Chief Financial Officer. I've served on the Planning Commission for 3 years, 1 year as Chairman, 4 years on the Council from 2004 to 2007, and served as Mayor Pro Tem in 2006 and 2007. I also have served from 2014 to the end of this current term in 2017 as Mayor Pro Tem. I've been heavily involved in community involvement for my entire time here. I'm a founding member and one of 2 of the original Highway 2 Traffic Safety Coalition that's gotten these funds, which I don't know if you watched Cairo tonight. They had a nice TV interview about that, the new funding.
Thank you. And we'll pass down to the other end then. And let's see, Jason, would you be the next person? Okay, good. We'll go with that. All right, the next question is, what makes Sky Valley a great place to live in?
I'm going to start out with the same answer that everyone up here pretty much said. It's gorgeous. Open my front door, see the Cascade Mountains. But what really makes it a great place to live is the fact that this weekend I was doing a repair on my deck, and no less than 2, if 3 counting Bob McCarty's stain advice, neighbors came over and offered to help and said, hey, here you pounding, here you sawing, do you need a hand, so forth. And when you look around the community and all the volunteers and all the people that try to make it a better place is what makes it such a great place, because everyone cares, everyone wants the community to succeed, and all in all, that's what makes it such a great place to live and raise a family.
Okay, and I'll be Rocky again. Growing up here in Sultan, I've always felt a great sense of community. Everyone knows their neighbors. When you go to the bank, the post office, or anywhere else for that matter, you will see someone you know and usually end up having a conversation. Since graduating high school here in 1976, I've lived in Helena, Montana, Spokane, Seattle, and Monroe, and nowhere did I experience the kind of interaction that I feel here at home. We have prime areas for recreation, and we need to continue to develop recreational opportunities. And let's not forget that we have some of the best first responders on earth here in both our police and fire.
First of all, just like everyone else, I mean, you drive east, you see the mountains. It's beautiful. That's the main reason I moved here. Obviously, I have family here too. I live in a very beautiful place also. It's called Ellensburg. Many people have been there. People live there because it's mountainous. But I've had buddies come over here visit from Ellensburg, which is a mountain town, and they said how amazing and beautiful it is here. They actually want to travel over here just to see everything. But another thing is I go downtown, I feel comfortable. I feel relaxed because of the community. And I really connect with them and relate with them. And that's it.
Well, I'll pile on again. This natural beauty of this valley is breathtaking. When I was traveling a great deal before I retired, I never tired of that view coming off Highway 2, down Highway 2 towards Sultan. It's spectacular. This place has a wonderful sense of community. I've never encountered that in my life. So many people volunteer their time and effort to make this a wonderful place to live. I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Pass down that way. And I think it's Christina's turn to answer that question. Yeah. Christina, do you want to move one seat closer to everybody? That makes it a little easier.
For me, the list is long. I'm going to start with the people. I love and know and appreciate so many people in this valley for their uniqueness, for what they contribute, what they give back to this community. And as I look around the room, a lot of you looking back at me know who you are, and again, I appreciate what you do as a whole. Again, the list is super long for me. I appreciate the nature, the mountains, the rivers, the lakes. I love going to the visitor center and always seeing a smile, walking through Osprey Park, going to the library and learning something new, or seeing someone or helping someone, the All Veterans Memorial, Chief Sultan. Who hasn't taken a picture of Chief Sultan when they're, to check how high the river is? Somebody's done that in this room, I know. So again, those are some of just the unique qualities I love about the valley. Not to mention its rich heritage.
Thank you. Okay, so I will start this one as Rocky. The question is, what are 2 to 3 major issues facing us in the next 5 years? Jason, I didn't skip you, did you? You started. Yeah, okay. The number 1, growth. We are forecast to see upwards of 1,000 new homes over the next 3 to 5 years. This will require that we stay ahead of the curve with our infrastructure and helping to create new business and local jobs. Number 2, drugs. Drugs are going to continue to be an issue, and I strongly believe that we should join the lawsuit against the drug makers who recklessly marketed their products, helping to create the epidemic we are dealing with today. They need to help fix it. Transportation. Sound Transit has built the taxpayers of the greater Puget Sound area out of $54 billion over the next 30 years for projects that will never be completed on time or on budget and will be obsolete before they are completed. For years, the Highway 2 Safety Coalition has worked tirelessly to get funding for Highway 2. For a fraction of that $54 billion, Highway 2 could be a lot safer and a lot more efficient. Please call your legislators. All right, and then Dustin would pick up here.
Sure. I guess first of all, creating more of a livable community. I guess a lot of people do live here, obviously, but a lot of people work outside of Sultan, and say on the weekend you want to go out to dinner, whichever it is, you go outside of Sultan, go eat or enjoy your afternoon. I believe there's a lot that can be done as far as building a better business infrastructure and better parks and obviously better roads. Another one is a safer community. We have a lot of people with, I guess, are down on their luck. So either they're not living in a home or where they're living. And they're living either in the parks or on the streets where you want to spend your weekend walking around. I think we should probably figure out a way to where there's a place for them to go or a way to resolve that issue, to either help them or give them a place. We have a lot of small crime as far as property theft.
I'm just going to continue with what we've been working on all along, and that's excuse me, responsible growth and the need for additional retail with the resulting local jobs. Continued and enhanced drug enforcement, and continued and enhanced efforts to reduce the number of homeless in town. We've been working on that for a number of years. We're seeing some headway, but they're like the tide. They come, they go. So that's all I have.
We'll pass back down.
Is this one me or Christina?
I think it's Christina. Does that
Okay.
seem right?
If it seems right to you, it
Okay.
seems right to me.
It seems right.
2 to 3 major issues facing us in the next 5 years. I think growth management and local planning is going to be very important for us. Public safety and fiscal responsibility are the 3 that are on the top of the list. I am the first one to say that I'm new to this position, and there's things that I need to learn and grow along the way. I have signed up for growth management and local planning workshops. I've sat in on the budgeting retreat, and I also sat in on the yearly budget retreat. That's something I would encourage other people that are running for council, if this is something you're serious about, please start coming to council meetings and gaining those skills that are necessary for us to really represent our community in a positive manner. The good news, Sultan fared well in a recent national study. For most of you, you probably don't know that we ranked 42 out of the list of 100 safest cities in the state of Washington. So what comes to our mind through media and all these things, there's the negatives, there's still a lot of positive and a lot of work for us to do.
Thank you.
Three issues in the next 5 years?
2 to 3.
2 to 3, all right. Don't want to be here all night.
Your choice.
I would say budget is a big one for the city of Sultan. I think there's a lot of wasteful spending. Fiscally conservative, I think a lot of things can be looked at to not cost us as a taxpayer as much and be more efficiently funded and better time spent. Growth is another big one, which also falls back down to the budget and money for roads and road repair. And I also feel that crime, which also falls down to the budget of police officers on the streets and their presence in the neighborhoods. So with those three things all falling down to the budget, I think the budget is the actual biggest thing that's going to affect the city of Sultan for the next 5 years.
Okay, we finished that, right? All right. So now we're going to move into some audience questions. What role should the city play in addressing the health and welfare of our citizens with families living in poverty, facing hunger and or homelessness?
I guess the approach, I personally don't know what we've done in the past to help this. I know I've heard of like 10 cities and et cetera, but that's not really helping them to move forward. I mean, probably structure some programs for them to either do community service work or whichever. I think a lot of the people that are living either in a box or on the side of the road under a blanket, they've lost a sense of either work ethic or they have a personal thing, either like it's injury or they have no way of actually working. So we got to look at what their issues are, and I know it sounds dirty or whatever. We got to go talk to them, figure out what's going on.
Okay, we pass it.
We already have excellent resources in the valley that have been working very well. The Volunteers of America, we have a food bank, several of the churches donate clothing. A certain percentage of the homeless in our town like to be homeless. They do it by choice, but we do have a safety net available. All they have to do is take advantage of it.
Okay, I would also say regarding homelessness, this is something I've worked in for years, and people have to want that. We have to be there to support them and offer it to them and make it available when they are ready. Until they are ready, they will not accept help. In my own experience, I have witnessed the City of Sultan, the City Council, taking an ongoing multi-agency approach, which has included continuous collaboration with citizens, local agencies, county law enforcement, and the government. Collaboration is one of my strengths, and that's one of the things I will bring to council to help assist in finding additional strategies to help the well-being of all the people in our community.
The city has a food bank, and they also have a homeless problem with the people camping down by the river. I like to fly fish, and you'll see people with tents living down by the river. And as Christina said, they have to want the help. And as a city council, I think we need to make sure that those resources are known and that they are available. So those that want to get the help know the food bank, know the hours, know the programs. The ones that don't want to get the help and that are doing petty crime, that kind of thing, we can help usher them out of the city and not make it a hospitable place for them. I also feel that there are resources and we just need to make sure that they're known, that everyone knows the food bank hours, that people know there is a food bank in town to donate, that we do what we can to help those that need it.
Thank you. Okay, so I believe, John, you will be the one to start this next question. Okay. As a burgeoning community at a focal point for tourism and travel, can we afford to turn away any potential businesses that would bring more visitors to Sultan?
I'm not sure what that line of question refers to, but I'm assuming it has something to do with the proposed marijuana shop on Main Street.
Well, the question doesn't say that, but you know
But
your community, so
I
you
do.
respond
I
how.
suspect that's where this is coming
Okay.
from. Council voted 6-1 to not allow retail marijuana in Sultan. My decision, when I voted on that, was based on my constituents, people that had come to me, a great number, quite frankly. And we determined as a council to not approve retail marijuana. As it turned out, that particular building is being converted to a beautiful restaurant right now, a restaurant and brewery, which will actually serve all of the citizens of Sultan.
Okay, can you pass that down?
I don't really, I guess, as far as businesses go, and the marijuana business, I guess, as John was saying, I think, yes, the city council did vote against that, but I also believe there was a large majority of businesses and the general public that were for it. And that doesn't mean that was a wrong vote or anything, but I believe, I think it should be looked more closely as far as the rest of the people really see where they want to go with. Because yes, it did turn into another business, but what if that was two businesses opposed from just one?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. As a burgeoning community at a focal point for tourism and travel, can we afford to turn away any potential businesses that would bring more visitors to Sultan?
I'm not going to talk about a particular business. I'm going to talk about businesses in the community as a whole, and this is just kind of a big vision. Lots of details and lots of pieces that I can't share in a minute or less. So I'm just going to say best practices plus investment equals downtown success. We have to identify our stakeholders. We have to create a vision. We have to conduct a downtown assessment. We need to find out what is value added for our community. I also think businesses in our community need to, a lot of people in this town leave in the evening, leave during the day to go to work. Businesses have to complement the schedules of the people living in this community in order for us to support it. I'm not talking about businesses being open till 2 in the morning necessarily, but 8 or 10 p.m. If it was open when I came home from work in the evening time, I would shop there, but the doors are closed. I went down Main Street last week at about 11 o'clock at night, and there were 3 open signs, but nothing was open.
Thank you.
This kind of switched to pot versus business, but I think we need to encourage, I'm not going to touch on the pot stuff, but I think we need to encourage as much business as we can in Sultan, small business growth, jobs, people coming, the tourist stuff. We have all those people going up all winter, Highway 2 to the pass to go skiing, snowboarding, and we need to get them to stop in Sultan and frankly spend a little money, have a bite to eat, maybe get their oil changed. Just a reason for them to stop, just whatever reason. And we need to encourage the small business for them to be there and grow, which is going to help people move to the community too. Because when you drive through a community, you go, oh, this place has a nightlife. As Christina said, the businesses are closed, and they're kind of on small town hours. And if we just encouraged more small business, more people will come. With business, people will come. So we need to get the business to stay and encourage them to grow.
Thank you very much. Now, you've all been sitting a really long time. We have 2 questions that we sent out. So, panel, I'm going to ask you those questions in a combined way so you can kind of choose how you want to answer. So timers, instead of 60 seconds, would you be able to give them 90 seconds and still give your 30-second warning and your 15? Everybody follow that? Okay. So the one question is, what have we neglected to ask you that you would like to bring attention to? And then we're also asking, what are 2 or 3 tasks that you would want to begin right away? So maybe what we forgot you is one of those tasks, maybe it's separate, but you each have 90 seconds to answer that and to do both, or one, some combination. And I believe it would be Christina's turn to start first.
Thank you. Not necessarily something I neglected, but just that I want to share one thing about the business piece is that's my background, workforce development, helping businesses and communities and job seekers make that match. We have to fill those gaps, build the skills in those areas, and support our community, both businesses and our workers, so they can afford to be here. Collaboration. We have to do this together. You know, I can be a positive factor. I can support. My job as a city council member is to support the mayor, the council members, but also represent the constituents in our city and make sure that they're heard and listened to. So if there was something I neglected to be asked or wanted to share, the goal of collaboration to bring our individuals, agencies, organizations, and communities together. It's important to note, I'll be honest, that some members of a collaboration may benefit more than others at times. One size doesn't fit all, but it will improve our delivery of programming, our opportunities for development, improved communication, and hopefully a improved and better public image for the city of Sultan as a whole. And then as far as tasks, would like to hit the ground running with code ordinance review,
Thank
training,
you
and
very
community
much.
engagement.
Yes, I'll go. I wanted to thank everyone for coming tonight. I know it's been long and everyone wants to get home, so I'll keep it brief. And I'm not much on public speaking anyway, so bear with me. And I also want to thank the League of Women Voters and Sky Valley Chamber of Commerce for hosting this. Basically, I believe with good judgment, we can ensure Sultan stays a great place to live for generations to come, raise our children here, raise our grandchildren here. As a husband and father, it is a priority that I will keep Sultan to be a great place where families have safe parks to take their children, in addition to good schools for them to go to and attend. I ask for your vote. And the first thing that I would really like to do once I got elected, if I'm fortunate enough to get elected, I want a proficiency audit done on the city. I really think there's a lot of waste. I know it's expensive, but I look at what they spend compared to how they could spend money. The sewer, waters, parks, each one of them has a lawnmower. Why can't they share a lawnmower? And they say that, oh, it's because each one, it comes out of their budget. Well, take the cost of it, divide it by 3. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's that hard to save money here and there. But I really think it needs to be looked at, because you hear stuff like that. The city buying a second garbage truck doesn't do the business garbages, so they need to keep both. So, yeah.
Thank you.
First of all, thank you everyone for coming. This is my first time doing this, but very passionate about it. So one of the things I initially want to do, to actually like get something going right away, is there are a lot of people driving through Sultan. As you know, we complain about the traffic on Highway 2. But there's also a lot of people who either own businesses or would be interested in running a business locally here, but they only see what they see when they're driving by. So say, for example, someone wants to go look at a retail spot. I think it'd be, I guess, beneficial for us to create more of like a business committee. So say, for example, they walk in to look at the retail spot, we get a ring from the realtor that they're going in there and say, two of the city council members walk in, here's the information on all the local businesses, this is what they can, this is the value they can provide for you of working together, and this is why you want to do business in Sultan. This is why you want to grow your business here or you want to be here, because we all agree we need more businesses, but if they don't see the value that we see as far as people that live here, it's going to be hard for them to want to invest in it and put all their time and money into it. So, and then another one is I really believe in local parks and having a fun place for the children and local people to enjoy their time, like on a Sunday or the weekend or whichever it is. And
Thank you very much. This was a real challenge, everybody. I know John still has a turn. Good job.
Well, my first, if I'm lucky enough to be reelected, is to continue the work we're doing right now, specifically with growth, enhanced drug enforcement. That's something that's near and dear to my heart, and continued efforts to reduce the number of homeless. We're already doing that, and I'll just continue doing that. Last but not least, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming out, and I'd certainly appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Okay, if you've never done this before, these candidates have done an amazing job. It's really hard to say everything you want to say, even if you get 90 seconds to 60. So thank you. Let's give a hand to these candidates. And thank you for inviting us to work with you. We've really enjoyed the evening, and I want to just remind you about a couple of things. Thank the candidates again. Thank you all for coming. And today is the last day. If you're not registered, or if there's somebody sitting at home at your house who's not registered, they can go on tonight, and we have a little slip at the paper at the table that will tell you how to do that. You guys are probably registered voters, I'm thinking. You probably are. And so you want to pay attention, because October 19th, your ballots are going to be mailed. You want to fill them out. You want to get them in the drop box or in the mail. And the election day is November 7th, so they have to be in by then. So you now know who you want to vote for. You should go and vote. Thank you.
I'd like to also just thank Jody Troutwine and her amazing team of volunteers who come out and help make the democratic process just a little bit better educated, more professional, and civil. I think that state and federal governments could take some lessons from what we did tonight. Thank you all for coming, and thank you to Jody and to the League of Women Voters. And of course, to the Friends of the Sno-Isle Library, because they had to make several runs to the grocery store to keep you in cookies. So thank you.